afternoon, everyone. We are from Team University Brunei Darussalam, representing myself. My name is Zira, and these are my group members, Hazim, Chong, and Reza. For today's presentation, we'll be talking about the traditional manufacturing industry and also 3D manufacturing industry. So first, as we all know now, 3D printing industry has been really increasing in the Chinese market. So before I start, I would like to tell you that what if this traditional manufacturing industry do not actually adopt to the 3D printing industry? So the thing that will be scared the most for companies is the fear of losing customers if they maintain this traditional way of manufacturing. So why is it important to maintain this, and why is this important to not lose your customers? So for that, we need to know what does customers really want. So we've identified into three aspects. Is one, what customers really need is low cost of product. And secondly, is the speed. Customers usually want immediate goods straight away. They do not want to wait longer time, and they just want to get the product straight away. And the third one is personalization. Customers now really want to customize their own product, but then the thing is, with the traditional way, companies can't really produce the product that they want. Why? So I'm going to talk about the issues why the problems encountered by the traditional manufacturing industry. Firstly is the timeliness. From the traditional manufacturing industry, they are not able to keep up with customers' preferences, and they even so they want to keep up, it'll be very hard because it took a longer process to do it in the traditional way. And secondly is the high cost. We realized that doing the traditional manufacturing way, you need to do the bottom-up approach where you have to actually like produce the product in every single stage. You need to do it layer by layer, which takes a longer time to produce this product, which then again relate to I've mentioned earlier that customers want to get things immediately, they want the product straight away. And the last one is inflexible. Well, we all know that the traditional way, they have a specific machine to do it, but the thing is, a specific way to do it, but the thing is, inflexible means that customer preferences is actually changing rapidly, it won't be easy for the traditional way to actually keep up with this one because they have a certain process to actually produce this product. So therefore, why is adopting this 3D printing is really important. So therefore, I'm going to pass this presentation to talk more about how this 3D printing can actually benefit the traditional manufacturing market.
Thank you, Zira. So, looking at this, we know that there's an opportunity that 3D printing can be beneficial for the manufacturing industry right now in China. Because in this industry, with the 3D printing, you can produce items immediately and at the spot. Considering this as well, we know that the market itself is changing rapidly. With understanding as a consultant management team to ensure that 3D printing is one of the best things that the industry could do. Like for example, the mass production. With the idea that we can produce items immediately, you can at least cut down production costs, but also having a high production value, as well as having a high inventory to ensure that the demand itself can be met. Because with 3D printing, you can cut down to 40% to 55% waste products that have been mentioned in the case study as well. And with the various techniques of 3D printing, you can also reach out to other opportunities in having different products, with having like different materials from the plastic, polyester, metal, ceramic, and so on. With that techniques available, we know that changing development of the 3D printers can help to innovate the products by having like the patents itself being expired, so that the technology itself can be more advanced, but as well looking to diversify its product as well. And with personalized products, we know that with customization, as well mentioned earlier, we can help to ensure that we can meet the demands of the customers. With the collaboration with 3D systems with Toys R Us, that innovative moment itself can catch the attention of the market itself. with 3D printing, we believe that manufacturing industry should adopt this and help to evaluate and increase its efficiency in the supply chain itself, because we think that 3D printing can help the manufacturing industry in China, but also to maintain the sustainability there as well. And to consider that as well, we want to ensure that 3D printing can be a focal point that we want to change the industry, because with the changing industry, the changing technology right now and changing development technology that we have right now, we want to make sure that this could be the next step for China to emphasize in the manufacturing industry itself. With that, I'll pass to my colleague here to explain why by adopting 3D printing could also be more useful. Thank you.
Okay. First thing we have to understand that adopting 3D printer in a traditional manufacturing is not easy, because they are doing things the old way, and the new way is difficult for them to adapt. So now we identify in three strategy fit that the old traditional manufacturer can adopt, which is first is prototype stage, and also final product stage and replacement stage. What I mean by about prototyping stage is that prototyping allows us to actually find out what is the new product we can actually do. So this allows us to do rapid prototyping. If rapid prototyping allow us to actually customize the product more rapidly, because I mean in the traditional way is using old prototyping way of doing it is you design a product, you send to the company, and the design will be done, everything done, and you have to deliver from a long distance to your company to see whether it is working or not. And this one is not good, because it will increase our cost and also losing our edge, competitive edge. Because as mentioned by my colleague, is that customers are looking for tight speed. They want the product to be released right away. So we want to reduce that kind of problem, which is we want to basically reduce our time to market. So how we want to do this is we divide the three parts. For us, the traditional manufacturing should focus towards final product. So final product is that we want to focus on low volume. Low volume allow us to have some spare capacity to actually leverage between the prototype and also for the replacement cost. What I mean about replacement cost is that replacement cost is something that we can do to increase our after-sales services. After-sales services will allow us to give customer more value about what they need to do, what they want after that, and also give them more value into that. So focusing on 3D product to focus on the final product stages is that it allows us to provide point of purchase, because at this point we can actually produce the product more rapidly and faster. But we don't want to focus too much on diversity. We want to utilize the resources, so we want to produce on low volume, but at the same time increase the quality. So divide this into two parts, which is using our spare capacity. Prototyping will be doing market research to find out what is the product the customer need right now. So using rapid prototyping allow us to increase our ability to personalize. And on the replacement cost will allow us to increase our after-sales services. So with these three way of utilizing the supply chain management, it will allow us to solve the main three problems we face right now, which is the time to market, and as well as this will reduce the cost because it's faster and more efficient. So now let's talk about how this will actually reduce the cost more even further. Okay, let's talk about let's say because of the variety application of 3D printer, it could reduce the supply cost, because a lot of material have a lot of sources. Then we can use this 3D printer to have a variety of supplier. This variety of supplier increase number of variety of supplier, increase our bargaining power. So we could actually reduce the cost from supplier. So with this, we can actually leverage what we can have in the market. So now let me pass it to my colleague to talk about the risk.
So, what is business without risk, and what is a strategy without risk? So let me present you three main risks that we have identified. The first risk is that there is a risk of losing the image of being a traditional manufacturers. So with adopting the 3D technology, the workers might lose and the company might lose its value of providing this traditional aspect into its company. So in order to reduce this risk, what we would like to provide is that, what we would like to propose this company is that we would like to maintain this value of traditional value while we personalizing the products using the 3D printer. Now, let's have a look at the internal aspect of the risk. The internal aspect of the risk is in terms of the workers. The workers might resistance to change, to adopt this kind of strategy, because we as the company, the traditional company, need to adopt. The workers have their own skills to create these value products. So, in order to mitigate this resistance to change, it is really important. It is really important for the companies to communicate the benefits that have been mentioned by my friend here, that the benefits of the 3D printers. It actually is essential for them to know that it helps the company, it helps the workers to work much more faster, to provide more quality products. And the third risk is that the nature of the market, the nature of the China market, which is they have this behavior of imitating. So there is a risk that the competitors, our competitors, might able to reach much further technology than us. So in order to mitigate this risk, in order to reduce this risk, it is important for us to run these 3D printers. And if there is at the time, there's a new technology for the 3D printers, it is important for the company to collaborate with the 3D printers companies to provide the company with a much more further technology for the company. Next, I would like to pass to Zira to conclude our presentation.
So in order for this traditional industry, manufacturing industry market to actually penetrate the Chinese market, it is our solution to actually, for this industry to actually adopt this 3D printer. Why? Because one, there's a growing number of people and also growing number of market in the Chinese market of using the 3D printer that could actually benefit a lot of company. So our solution again is to adopt this 3D printer, because why? This will actually help for company to actually reach the demand, one, and also for being able to sustain longer in the Chinese market, since Chinese market is actually a very lucrative market and it'll be a profitable market for this company to actually adopt this strategy. And with that, we welcome you with questions. Thank you.
Now you have 15 minutes to go for this Q&A section.
So, just to be clear, what do you propose exactly as strategy, and how much is it going to cost as strategy?
Okay, first thing, our strategy is focusing how we're gonna maintain the, how we're gonna strategic fit to adopt the 3D printer, because we have identified two possible printer we can actually focus on, which is the older version, but actually can do what we're actually looking for, which is rapid prototyping, and as well as to provide the replacement cost, which is the one on FDM, which is based on the case study. There's a lot of reducing cost at the moment, so it would be a way for us to reduce to adopt the 3D printer at the lowest cost possible.
So you're recommending us to start now. We have to adopt the 3D printing.
Yeah.
Is that the very simple? Okay.
So concretely, how do I do that? How do you propose I do that?
Based on our strategy is that we want to focus on low volume. So low volume will actually give up a lot of space capacity. So the space capacity will be utilized most on rapid prototyping and also for the replacement cost. So the low volume will use a bit much on the 3D printer. So we actually produce low volume. Then at the same time, we allow us to actually rapid prototyping. So we want to propose a strategy fit for our supply chain management.
I think you talk about a lot more on cost saving. I think I could only see the advantages of proposing us to use 3D is cost saving. But just two questions. One, are there any other advantages? And are there any disadvantages if I adopt the 3D printing? What are my downside for my business as well?
Okay, first thing, the main advantage is always the adapt, because one thing, if we don't adapt, we're losing our competitive edge, because other companies are adapting right now, so they can do what we can't. As a traditional manufacturer, we're still adapting the old tradition, so we have to do the prototyping take a long time to produce. In that way, we lose the competitive edge, because the other company can reduce the time to market, so they become a first mover and they catch the market much earlier than us. So this is something is a threat to us. So we want to propose adopting 3D is to try to mitigate this threat, and at the same time in long term, because adopting 3D printer is high cost, but in the long term it will save our cost. One part is we will be able to utilize the 3D printer because we get used to the production. So our production will restructure in the long term, so allow us to actually adopt more efficiently. So this will reduce the cost in long term. In short term, I would say yes, it will increase the cost, but in long term, you will actually save cost more efficiently.
And to add on about that, the idea we had with the leasing 3D printers, we believe that this will also help to benefit for the company, because by leasing 3D printers and knowing that the 3D printer patents have all expired from the case study, we believe with leasing 3D printers that we can always adapt to the changing environment, especially the technology itself. With having this in mind, by the next 2 years or 3 years, having a new 3D printer that can actually have more techniques, more opportunities to actually create more products that are more feasible and more practical and doable for the company. This would also help to create this competitive advantage for these manufacturing industries, and also reduce production costs in the supply chain management, because we believe that these 3D printers could help to reduce the cost and also be more cost efficient itself. Thank you.
Allow me to add on. Based on the case study, they have mentioned that government is supporting developing the 3D printer industry. So in this way, we can actually finding that there's a trend of the development of the 3D printer. So in the future, the 3D printer will become cheaper and more efficient. So in order to capture that trend, we want to use lease, because lease is a much cheaper way to actually use the 3D printer. At the same time, allow us to change more towards on if there's an upgrade in 3D printer, so we can actually change more easily because it's renting. So if purchasing, it will be high cost and is inflexible because we can't change all the time. It will be quite expensive. So we want to propose using leasing to reduce the cost.
Can you be more specific in terms of who is your recommended client target for us, target clients? Is it the consumer goods, or is it high technology, or is there any specific that you can recommend us in terms of target market? Where are they? Are they continue? Because I'm a manufacturer a traditional manufacturer in China. Do you recommend us to continue to focus on the offshore market or the domestic market? Do you want to supplement in that fund?
Okay. Based on this is that China market is still lucrative. If going international, one thing is that our company might not be able to compete with others, because based on the statistics shows that the others have much more advanced 3D printer technology than us. So in order to do that, we need to collaborate with the local, which is the domestic market, to improve our technology toward further, so we can actually go outside and compete with others. Because the government, even the government is trying to support themselves, is trying to develop the 3D printers technology to a further stage that we can actually be more competitive compared to the international. So I would suggest go to more towards on utilize the domestic market before going to international, because international have more threat compared to the local.
So in terms of the consumer goods versus the high technology or the more technology-driven goods like automotive, aircraft, which are the client segment that you recommend us to focus on?
Based on the case study, one of the most interesting industry we'll tap into is the automobile. Because one thing, automobile is allow us to do some high level of customizing and allow us to do what we talk about, the after sale service, which is the replacement cost. So in using 3D printer, allow us to reduce the costs and also apply, produce a certain part which is for replacement is much more faster. In this way, we can actually become more, mass customized service. If our car certain if it's a damage, is for a certain part is only for us can be supplied. So in this way, the customer cannot move the others because this tiny little part is have to be supplied for us. So allow us to lock in the customer much more stronger. So we actually recommend automobile will be one of the opportunity because of the what we propose right now, the strategy fit.
I think one of the advantages of 3D printer is, as you mentioned, is more personalized, more tailor-made product delivered to client. But as I mentioned, there are limitations on the 3D printer. So how do you overcome, or how do you compromise these two together? For example, like car industry, they might need certain material to produce a model, like what I could do it because material use can be more expensive in a traditional way. But a 3D printer, I may not be able to accomplish that. So how do you have any suggestion for me to overcome these difficulties?
I'm sorry, could you repeat your limitation that you mentioned just now?
Yeah, what I'm saying that how do we overcome the limitations of using 3D technology, basically? I mean 3D printing. Because there are lots of limitations.
Yeah. Based on the limitation that we found just now is that we cannot ensure of the quality. So what we propose here, we want to able to actually manage, to monitor those kind of quality. So that's why we propose the three steps, which is prototyping, allow us to design the product and allow us to customize the product more efficiently. So in this case is the 3D printer allow us to reduce the cost in terms of material finding because it will increase a lot of variety, because of the variety applications, it increase our bargaining power. So with bargaining power, we can get the cheapest material possible. So because of that, it's the second part of with the material we get, we can ensure the quality because we have more bargaining power. So second part of it, we want to do customize on our own, which is the final product. So if ourselves will be focused on doing the final product on ourselves, we can ensure the quality more efficiently compared the using other manufacturing to product the mass producing the final product right away. You will be unable to detect the quality right away. So we want to do our customized product so we actually can focus more. That's why we propose the low volume, so it can allow us to focus more on the quality.
Yeah, at the moment, because I'm a traditional manufacturer, I'm doing the manufacturing side. So how do I shift my focus on design, on designing the final product? Any strategy for me?
Okay, maybe since we're actually proposing adopting the 3D and also the traditional way, with this strategic fit actually helps to complement each other, like what actually the traditional do not have. With the help of 3D, this can actually complement the traditional in order to produce a product.
Allow me to add on. Okay, based on the reason we mentioned that traditional manufacturer, they are looking for one thing why they don't want to change because of the image traditional. Because of this one is what the customer value them. So in this way, we want to propose the 3D printer is to ease the production process, but at the same time allow us to more focus on how do we design. So with 3D printer, one thing it will reduce is that we don't have to focus on too much on finding producing the production stages, but at the same time allow us to focus on design stages, because rapid prototyping allow us to do a lot of designing stages at a rapid repeat time. So in this way, we can actually find out whether our product is good or bad. So allows to improve more and more and more using this rapid prototyping. So this one will actually give us some place and time to actually focus on more designing.
I like the fact that you seem to have looked a lot internally at the company. For example, one of the limitations which you mentioned is how would the workers react in terms of natural human reaction to be reluctant to change. If you were to speak to the workers, what would you tell them? How would you convince them that there's nothing to be worried about with this change in technology?
It will be like they have the skill that we need in order to produce the products that we used to produce. It's just that to speed up the process of producing prototype products. So it will be communicating the workers about the benefits of this. Like they will be able to. They still are needed for the companies, but we just help them to produce much more faster with a good quality products as the companies used to produce before adopting the 3D printers.
Allow me to add on as well. For using 3D printer, one thing is because people are afraid in changing, they might saying that, oh, maybe you need technology, then you don't need much workers. But this is not a problem because we will try to communicate with the benefit of if you're adopting 3D printer, the work of the workers will reduce, and at the same time give them more opportunity to look for different job rotations. So job rotation allows them to before actually can just focus on doing the same thing, now I actually can do other things. Maybe I can now doing the designing or other stages of the process. So in this way, it will actually motivate them because they are not doing the same thing all the time. Now they actually can do something else. So with 3D printer, give them more opportunity and also more exposure to different things.
I just have a question in terms of the whole presentation. I'm looking for more quantitative support of your recommendation analysis. So what could be the reason that you don't have too much of that data supporting you and just mainly focusing on qualitative? Do you want to supplement in that front?
Yeah, right. Based on the case study, one of the company able to reduce their cost of production from 40% to 50%. And this is what we want in our company. So this is the main reason we want to adopt the 3D printer because of the cost of reduction is quite significant. They can help us to do more things. Imagine that with this reduction, what we actually can focus on, we can focus on marketing and also focus on designing the new product. So in this way, we can actually capture the market much more faster.
Thank you for Team 3. And now we give them a big round of applause for their presentation.